Okay, so we just got back from that flight, and we've taken the thumb drive out of the system, and we've stuck it into a laptop computer, and we've copied the flight data folder that was saved by the GEMS system to our computer. Now we've launched the GEMS tool, and when you first open the GEMS tool, it will open a load file dialog, and you're going to want to navigate to the flight that we just saved and open the flightdata.bin file. Alright, so we'll click open on that. And when you first open that flight file, you'll see a trajectory of your flight path superimposed on satellite imagery. And on top of this trajectory, you'll see a sequence of blue dots. And each blue dot represents an instant at which the camera is triggered. Now, if you move your cursor over these dots, you'll see that when you're hovering over one particular dot, you'll have a footprint for that image superimposed on the satellite imagery. So this is a good way to get a quick idea of what each image is actually looking at. So we'll move the cursor over a few different images here. You can see the different trajectories. Now, when you're out in the field, you may or may not have Wi-Fi or internet access, and so satellite imagery may not be available. So there's a second tab at the top called 2D Trajectory, and this shows the same thing, except it doesn't load any satellite imagery. So this does not require any sort of internet access in order for you to see the trajectory and footprints on the ground. Now, data collected by the system itself includes raw RGB and monochrome imagery, which is infrared, but it does not generate NDVI on the vehicle itself. That's generated in post-processing. So the GEMS tool will enable you to generate false color relative NDVI imagery. And because there may be instances where you can't sit there and wait for all of the imagery to process at once, we provide several options for how to generate that. So if you click Tools, you'll see the first option is Run NDVI Initialization. And what this will do is run just the minimum amount of processing required in order to enable you to generate NDVI images on the fly when they're needed. That will take about 1.5 to 2 minutes on a fast machine. The next option is Generate All NDVI Images. And this will actually run through the entire flight and generate the false color NDVI imagery for every single image acquisition event in the flight. And this takes longer. This takes about, about 30 minutes for a 30-minute flight, and it will grow with the length of the flight. So it takes a little longer to run, but it's still, considerably fast. The third option is sort of a middle ground. It lets you generate NDVI for a set of images, so you can generate them, 10, 20, 30 at a time. You'll open that up and you can select the starting image and the number of images you want to generate NDVI for, and you'll hit Run, and it will run that set of images only. Okay. So now once those NDVI images are generated, we can go ahead and view those. So if you right-click on a dot, you can see that it will open up a context menu where you can open monochrome, RGB, or NDVI imagery, and that will open this image up in a new tab. And you'll see a drop-down menu where you can toggle between these different layers. So you can see here there's the 3 different layers that we just mentioned. So we'll open up another image here. You can have multiple tabs open at once. So the next feature is that you can drop markers on any image and get the latitude and longitude of the points that you've clicked on. So you'll see in this image here we've dropped 4 markers, and you can see superimposed on them is the marker number and then latitude and longitude for what we've clicked on. We can have multiple tabs open at once, and we can have markers dropped in multiple images at the same time. And you'll see that they persist as we change between layers. So between RGB, monochrome, and NDVI, our markers stay in place. Now the next tool that we offer is a measurement tool. So if you click Tools and then Measure Tool, you can also use the M button on your keyboard. You can then click on any point in an image and then any other point in the image, and you'll see a little tooltip show up telling you the locations of those 2 points and the distance and the displacement between them in meters. And you can use this tool on multiple images at the same time as well. Now, these markers and these measurements that you've made can be exported to a CSV file So you can save them, or you can open them up with other tools. If you click on Tools, Export Data, you can then choose if you want to export markers or your measurements. So the first thing we've just done here is we've exported our points, our markers, and now we're going to export our measurements. So we'll open up a save dialog, and you can choose where you'd like to save them as a CSV file. And we'll hit save here. Okay, and then when we're done, we can either just close those tabs or we can clear those markers. All right, so we'll open up these files that we just exported, and you can see what this data looks like. So our measurements, we have columns for the image that we made the measurement in, and then the measurement number for that image, and then the position of the 2 points, and our displacements and distances between those points. These show up as different columns. And our points of interest file is similar in nature, but the first column tells us what image the markers were dropped in, and then we have the marker ID for that image, and then it tells us the latitude, longitude, and altitude of the marker. So you can use this file to, for instance, click on points of interest and then walk out into the field and try and actually get back to a point that you found interesting in the imagery using a GPS receiver. Okay, so you see with the view, you're able to show or hide certain components of the user interface, which can make it more efficient for different types of screens. And if you click Help, you can open up both our software user manual and our hardware user manual from within the GEMS tool, and that can be used to get usage information or get questions to frequently asked questions. Okay, so that is the overview of our GEMS tool. It's a quick overview, but we hope you find it easy and helpful to use, and stay tuned for more developments.